I'm the New South Wales Director of News, so I look after 4 bulletins. That's the Riverina Bulletin, Central West Bulletin, the Wollongong Bulletin and the Canberra Bulletin. We've also got an All Australia News, which is a 1-hour bulletin, which is played on Gem. So my job is to make sure those bulletins go to air on time and everything's right. So within a newsroom, I have a Chief of Staff. That Chief of Staff looks after the journalists, the cameramen and the editors. And they construct the bulletin, and I look after the Chiefs of Staff to make sure they're doing okay, and any help they need, whether it's defamation, story ideas, angles, hard to get interviews, anything they need, I look after them. I think the hardest thing for me was actually deciding what I wanted to do. I did a Bachelor of Arts and I didn't have a major in the beginning. I did English, I did history, psychology, sociology. I tried everything, and what I found was, coming out of the HSC, I didn't have a clear picture of what I wanted to do. I think I was in some ways misguided. My strengths were always public speaking, my strengths were writing and that thirst for telling stories. But in my head I thought, well, maybe that's an English teacher. So I actually majored in English and history. I did a dip ed. And then I became an English teacher before I realised this is not what I wanted to do. So the first year was daunting because I was trying too much. I was trying my hand at everything to see what it was I liked. But the problem was I liked everything. And what I really needed to do was focus on my strengths. Sit down with somebody, and that's exactly what I did, a careers advisor at the university. I sat down with them and thought, you know, where am I going with this? What am I going to major in? And that's how I steered into the direction of journalism, and it was really my calling and something I should have known coming out of the HSC and earlier on, but it was very difficult when you're thrust into that situation. I really should have taken some time to stop and think about my strengths and what it is I like and what it is I'm good at. And had I have pinpointed that and then spoken to somebody, I would have done a Bachelor of Journalism straight away. So I signed up for a degree and thought, when I'm at university, I will then decide what it is I wanted to do. And that was the long way around it. I should have really just sat down with myself and mapped it all out and decided then Bachelor of Journalism was for me. I think the most important thing to consider is second year and third year, really hone in on where it is you want to work. What would be your dream job? And then target that and find out what it is you need to do to get there. There is no point in leaving university with a degree and then going out in the workplace, because everybody wants work experience. Everybody wants you to have shown that you've tried to get your foot in the door. You're covered when you're at university, so do it while you're at university. In your second and third year, pinpoint and hone where it is you want to work and call the bosses there. Don't be afraid to make an appointment to see people. Talk to them about how they got in the industry and try and get your foot in the door by doing some work experience. If that's 1 day a week for 6 months, if that's 1 week of the year, do it in your second and third year. And don't wait until your degree is over, because then it is too hard. But know what it is you want to do around the third year, definitely. I started here at Teleivison as a work experience kid. In my third year of uni, it was my master's in journalism. I did 1 day a week here. I was literally just filing papers and making coffee. And I was doing that 1 day a week for a year. I was fortunate enough that on one day, 3 journalists called in sick. And the boss turned around and said, "Stella, you're on." And I went out and I did a story. And after that, despite having a master's in journalism, I was offered a cadetship, but I took it. And from there, within 3 years, I was running the newsroom here in Wollongong. I was the Chief of Staff. Stayed here for 5 years, went to Channel 9 for almost a decade, and then came back as the news director. So I started as that work experience kid, so I know how important it is and how valuable it is. Also, the social environment of the university was extremely important, and to this day, some of my closest friends and colleagues who are in high positions around the state are former University of Wollongong students who I actually sat in a lecture room with. And we relate to each other so well because we have those experiences from so long ago. We all end up somewhere. We all end up, you know, out in the world working somewhere, and it's amazing how many paths you cross from your university days. It is really amazing.